If one was asked what is the most simple meaning of the holiday of Sukkot, as they say, standing on one leg, how would you explain the holiday of Sukkot? I think what comes to mind, and I saw this many years ago in the writings of Rav Aryeh Kaplan, is this known story that at some point in American history, more than a century ago, it was quite common to look for simplicity. There were some great people, well-known American people, that simply lived in very simple conditions. For instance, there was this well-known American writer, naturalist named Henry David Thoreau. And his main work, one of the two main works of his, is his own experience of life in the woods. Walden, I think it was called. Whatever the case may be, this is not really an uncommon idea. The simplicity, the simple life, the simple pleasures. And Sukkot is exactly about that. That even rich people, even people who you normally live in their very expensive houses with all the conveniences, but once a year for 7 days, we live in simplicity. In a sense, the holiday of Passover and the holiday of Sukkot are the two complements of each other, you could say. They're exactly in the opposite times of the year. The holiday of Pesach is, of course, in the middle of spring, the first new moon after spring starts. And exactly 6 months later, the end of the gathering of the crops, it's called in the Torah also as holiday of Asif. Besides being Sukkot, the holiday of tents, it's also called the holiday of Asif, when all the crop gathering is finished and the fall is coming. And on Pesach, we eat the most simple foods. Water and flour, that's the two ingredients of matzah. And it's made very simply. You don't let the flour rise. It's the most simple food possible. And on the holiday of Sukkot, we live in the most simple dwellings. So the main theme of the holiday is simplicity. And that's why the book of Kohelet is read on this holiday. This is an Ashkenazi custom, but I think some Sephardi congregations also do it nowadays. And it's based actually on Masechet Sofrim. There is a source for it in Chazal. So the book of Kohelet, its simple theme is that even a very rich and important person, the leader who has everything, still doesn't find this to be pleasureful. Just pursuit of pleasure never satisfies one. As our sages have a mashal, if a person drinks salt water, he only wants to drink more, and there's never satisfaction. That's how it is with pursuit of pleasures, pursuit of wealth. But the simple pleasures, if a person is satisfied with that, then he is the happiest person in the world. So Sukkot is supposed to be the happiest holiday. I mean, Purim was a later holiday, of course, but from the holidays that came from the very beginning of our nation, from the most early biblical times, really Purim is also a biblical holiday, but it's the very end of biblical times, almost 1,000 years later, and it doesn't have the same status as the holidays that are from the Torah, from the 5 books of Moshe. But the only holiday that's so happy and so much happiness used to be in the temple, especially. They used to, it says in the Talmud, almost not sleep during this time. They were like just partying all day and night. But what is partying? Partying is not what they consider a discotheque today. It was a different kind of partying. Although they did have music, they did have even some kind of tricks that people did, some kind of acrobatic things. It mentions all of that in the Talmud. They had all kinds of interesting things they were doing. Even in the temple, and certainly outside of the temple, usually the happiness has to be always contained in a certain sense. You have to Gilu Birada, it says, right? And it's like in a synagogue in a certain sense. In the temple, even more fear of Hashem has to be there. So while they were happy, you could say that they still had certain limitations. But today, generally, they do an imitation of that, what they call Simchas Beis Shoeva. And, there's music on Chol HaMoed, and there's a lot of happy themes. Of course, The end of the Torah cycle is on Simchat Torah, the happiness of Torah. That's after. Technically, it's not even called Sukkot. Sukkot is only 7 days. Simchat Torah is a separate holiday. It's the second day of Shmini Atzeret. In the land of Israel, it's 1 day, so it's Shmini Atzeret is Simchat Torah. And outside of the land of Israel, it's a second day of Yom Tov, and it's a separate holiday, Simchat Torah. Whatever the case may be, all of this is together. Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah is a series of extremely happy days. But the happiness is in simplicity. The happiness is in not getting a lot, but everybody is equal, everybody has the same. And by the way, just recently we read in Parshat Vayelech a special mitzvah that used to be in the times of the temple, when all the Jewish people would gather once in 7 years in the temple and listen to the king reading the Torah. And this was after Shemitah, also a whole year when everybody was equal, they didn't work the land, and nobody's busy, so everybody comes and enjoys the special Sukkot once in 7 years. So this is a very happy holiday, and the happiness is in spiritual knowledge, in simplicity, in being one with nature, in being protected by Hashem. This is what the theme of Sukkot is. When we deserve, Sukkot is an extremely happy holiday. Of course, we know almost 2 years ago, one of the happiest days of our year, the Simchat Torah in the land of Israel, turned into one of the worst days in our history. But all of whatever happens bad, that can always turn to be good. And looking back retroactively, one day we may realize what this may have triggered. The person who is, let's say, in great danger might not realize he or she is in great danger until it actually happens. But if the person is not prepared, then it's the worst thing. If, for instance, a similar situation would happen like it happened on that Simchat Torah, with all of the enemies of Israel ganging together, then not 1,000 Jews would be killed, raped, and tortured, but tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Jews. Imagine Hezbollah, which was stronger than Hamas, would enter at the same time. And imagine also there would be some coordination with Arabs in Judea and Samaria, right, in the West, what they call the West Bank, and especially if they also got some help from Syria. There are so many enemies that our people have, and if they would all gang together, it wouldn't be a loss of 1,000 lives. In fact, that's what Sinwar planned. He hoped that once the attack starts, the others will join in, and there could have been 1 million Jews killed in a few days. Chas v'shalom. So looking back, this tragic, absolutely tragic day may have actually saved us from a much, much, much worse situation. But as Israel woke up and started eliminating its enemies one by one, today certainly Israelis feel much safer. Now they don't feel much safer than they felt on the 6th of October that year, on the day before Simchat Torah, because they simply didn't know how much they were in danger. But now that we know how much we were in danger today, certainly the safety is much greater than it was 2 years ago. So looking back, maybe we will say the verses, the biblical verses, Odecha ki anafta bi, Hashem, I will thank you when you punished me. We will understand that everything that Hashem does is for good. He's waking us up, and hopefully we will learn our lesson, and hopefully we will deserve the final redemption soon in our day. And I wish everybody a happy Sukkot holiday, and enjoy it while it lasts. It's the last holiday in a long season. There will be no holidays, no biblical holidays for a long time now. This is the last opportunity after Yom Kippur is over, after all the judgment is over, to be happy, to enjoy yourself, and to spend time with the family, the greatest pleasure that often we don't appreciate. May Hashem help all of us.